Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Garvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we saw in the last class that the student asked a question. What exactly is that because of which the mind is able to move, the mind is able to determine what it does. And now we look at mantra number 2, which we will chant. This is the answer from the teacher. So this is Guru Vacha. So we'll chant. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yad.
Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yat.
Vacho havacham sa upranas pranasya pranaha.
Vachoha vachagam sa upranasya pranaha.
Chakshush chakshurati machyadhiraha.
Chakshush chakshurati muchyadhiraha.
Pretyasmal lokadmrita bhavanti.
Pretyasmallokadamrita bhavanti.
Okay. So, shrotrasya shrotram. So, shrotrasya, the suffix asya means of. And therefore, shrotrasya is of the ear. So, you have to actually read the second shrotram first. Shrotram, shrotrasya. The ear of the ear. And manaso, mano. The mind of the mind. Yad vachoha vacham. The speech of the speech. Chakshushaha chakshuhu, the eye of the eye. And sa-u is he is indeed, saha is he, u is expletive meaning indeed or that he, the he of the Hindi, oh he, that is the u. So sa-u, he is indeed, pranasya pranaha, the prana of the pranaha. And chakshushascha chakshushaha is the eye of the eye. Then atimuchya dhiraha, dhiraha the jnani, atimuchya means having transcended. What? Having transcended these things, what happens? Pretya asmat lokat amrita bhavanti. So the breakup has to be carefully done. Pretya asmat lokat amrita bhavanti. And this is the the key verse of the Upanishad, and the rest of the Upanishad is an expansion of this verse. And through this mantra, the Acharya is saying that Atman is the principle which you, O student, have asked about, and that Atman is Chaitanya Swarupa Atman. Otherwise, different names are there: Chidatma, Vijnanam, Samvit, Prajnanam. There are many names for that Atma. Brahman is also one name. So what is that Atma? We have seen several times. Not a part, property, or product of the body. An independent entity which pervades and enlivens the body. That Atma is not limited by the spatial or time-wise boundaries of the body. The Atma survives when the body is destroyed. And this Atma cannot do any transactions once the medium of transaction collapses. Once the body medium collapses, the Atma cannot do any transaction, but it continues to exist. So this non-transacting Atma consciousness, the non-transacting consciousness is called Avyakta Chaitanyam, the invisible Chaitanyam. So he look at the words, they are a bit complex. So Shrotrasya Shrotram, the ear of the ear. And the first ear is not visible, the second ear is visible. Similarly, Manasaha Manaha, mind of the mind, Vachaha Vacham, mouth of the mouth, Pranasya Pranaha, prana of the pranas, Chakshusasya Chakshuhu, eye of the eye. Why is it called ear of the ear, the Atma? The second Atma, the second Srotra, actually the first Srotra, the Srotrasya, that is the Atma. Srotram is the physical ear. The Srotrasya Srotam means the ear of the ear. So what is the ear of the ear? It is that which, because of which the ear is able to function. And similarly, Manaso Manaha, it is that because of which the mind is able to function. Vachoha Vacham, that because of which the mouth is able to speak. Pranasya Pranaha, that because of which your Prana Shakti is there, you are able to breathe. Chakshusasya Chakshuhu, that because of which your eye can see. All the Indriyas can do their functions because of this Atma only. And very poetically, it has been called Srotrasya Srotam, Manasa Manaha, Vachoha Vacham, Pranasya Pranaha, etc. So up to here is the definition of the Atma. And why is it called ear of the ear? Because when you say something like this is the house of Krishna, you are saying there is a relationship between the house and Krishna, but Krishna and the house are different. And therefore, by calling Atma ear of the ear, not only is he saying that it is the power of because of which the ear is able to function, he is saying this Atman is different from the ear. It is there in the ear, it pervades the ear. At the same time, it is different from the ear. It is like I hold up my hand and the light is distinct from my hand. It is different from my hand, but it pervades the hand because of which you are able to see. And therefore, Atma, it pervades the ear, it blesses the ear, and that is why the ear is able to function as a ear because of this pervasion by the Atma, because of the blessing of the Atma. The power of hearing is not that of the physical ear, it is that of the Atman only. And this Atman pervades every single organ, but it is different from every organ. But because of the pervasion only, because of the blessing of the Atma only, the organ can function as an organ. It is the Indriya because of Atma only. So much is the initial portion. Then the Acharya talks about the benefit of the knowledge, phalashruti. So dhiraha atimuchyaha. So dhira is a jnani, a discriminating person. What is a discriminating person? Who understands the real meaning of I. He takes the I only to be consciousness, and he takes the body mind complex as a incidental medium different from I, which is used for transactions. So atimuchyaha, he transcends. How does he transcend? What does he transcend? He transcends the body mind sense complex. How does he transcend? By knowing that I am not the body mind complex. By falsifying the body mind complex as mithya, he transcends the body mind complex. This transcending, remember, is not a physical event. It is purely in terms of understanding only. And therefore, when I say Aham Brahma Asmi, whenever I say Aham Brahma Asmi, I mean I am that all-pervading consciousness. I am the OC, I mean. But remember that I have to use the body medium blessed by the OC for saying all this. Therefore, I use the RC to say I am Brahman. But even while using the RC, I exclude the RC from the meaning of the word Aham. And this alone is transcending. So whenever I say I am transcending, this is what it means. This is the implied meaning of the word, the Lakshyartha I. The Lakshyartha I is Atman, it is immortal, it is consciousness alone. While the Vachyartha I is mortal. So this is the meaning of Ati Muchya, transcending. So transcending the body-mind complex means I have understood that I am the Atma, and this is Jivan Mukti. Okay. And then Pretya Asman Lokat. So Pretya means having, is leaving. So Pretya Asman Lokat, once he has left this world, which means once the body has fallen, once the body is dead, which means Prarabdha is exhausted, what happens? Amrita Bhavanti. He becomes one with Paramatma. This is Videha Mukti. Why is this Videha Mukti? Because by saying Atimuchya, you have said that he has got Jivan Mukti. And Jivan Mukti doesn't need anything further. The trans movement from Jivan Mukti to Videha Mukti is only through time. Nothing else is required. Once Prarabdha is exhausted, the Jivan Mukta converts into Videha Mukta. So in this verse, you can see what all is talked about. The nature of Atma, Atmajnanam, Jivan Mukti, and Videha Mukti. All these are talked about in this particular verse, mantra. Any questions so far?
Raviji, the Shrotrasya Shrotram, which one was the Avyakta and which one was the physical ear?
Shrotrasya of the ear, Shrotram. So the ear of the ear.
So
The first one is the physical ear. The second one is the Atma.
So the Shrotrasya is referring to the physical ear
Yeah.
and Shrotram is
Of the
referring
physical ear, the ear of the physical ear. The
Yeah,
Atma
so
of the physical ear.
Yeah. Okay.
Om Acharya ji.
Yes, please.
So there were these two terms, Amrita Bhavanti. That is what you mean by Videha Mukti specifically.
Yes, in this
And the
particular
other term,
verse,
Pretsmyan Lokat,
no,
would mean in terms of Jivan Mukti.
no. Atimuchya dhiraha. Atimuchya means to transcend.
Transcend.
What has he transcended? By
There
transcending, there
can
is
be
no
a two
physical
levels.
No, there is no physical transcending. The transcending is in terms of understanding that I am not the body-mind complex. When you understand that I am not the body-mind complex, you understand that I am the Atma. This is Jivan
Right.
Mukti. So Atimuchya is Jivan Mukti, and after being Jivan Muktaha, Pretya Asman Loka, once the body falls, Amrita Bhavanti, he becomes Videha Muktaha.
So Asman Loka means it is about
This
the lok, the Prithvi, this
Asmat
existence
is
of the body.
this. Asmat is this. Loka is world.
Loka.
Pritya means living. Once he has left the world,
Okay. Thank you.
the body has fallen, basically.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Shankara brings in his commentary, he brings in a student who asks a question. What do you mean by Shrotrasya Shrotram? Because I can see only one Shrotram, the physical ear. What is the meaning of the other Shrotram? And Shankara comments that the Guru is saying, in the verse it is not there, it's Shankara's commentary. The Guru is saying that the Shrotram, the ear, is capable of revealing its own objects, which is sound basically. The Shrotram can reveal sound, but there is a problem there. The power to reveal the sound, the power to reveal any object, is not intrinsic to the Shrotram. The revealing power of the ear does not belong to the ear. And Shankara says, Chaitanya Sati Bhavati. That revealing power is operational only in the presence of Chaitanya. So Chaitanya Sati. When the Chaitanya is there, that revealing power is operational. And that Chaitanya is Nitye Asamhate, which is eternal, and Asamhate, not attached to the body. It's not a component of the body. So very clearly saying that Atma, because of which the ear can reveal its objects, because of which the ear can hear, that hearing power intrinsically does not belong to the physical ear. It belongs to the Atma, and that Atma is eternal and separate from the body. It is not a component of the body. So here Shankara is giving a direct definition of Chaitanya. So it is common to say, I mean, in all our terminologies, when we talk, when we discuss, even when we teach, we say Atma is consciousness. Chit. Atma is Chit, we say. But really speaking, if you look at the words of the Shruti, even though it may seem that Shruti is saying that Atma is Sat and Chit, you cannot really take that meaning. Shruti cannot define Atma as existence or consciousness. Why not? What is the problem with saying that, okay, Atma is consciousness or Atma is existence? What is the problem with that? Because these are words, right? And you know, we have seen before, every pada has got a pada arthaha. Every word has an object attached to it. Like the word glass has this object attached to it. And therefore, when you use a word to reveal an object, what is your natural reaction? It is to look for the object as a separate entity. So whenever you say that Shruti is saying that Atma is consciousness, by using the word Chaitanyam, Shruti is not really asking you to look for Atma as an object, but to understand that objects are revealed in the presence of consciousness. Atma is only a revealer. Atma cannot be revealed. Atma is only a revealer. Atma need not be revealed because Atma is self-effulgent. It is evident all the time. And Shankara gives Shruti support. He says, Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Which Upanishad? Which Upanishad says that?
Mundaka.
And it appears in two Upanishads. It should be an easy answer because we have done only three.
The Katha Upanishad.
Katha Upanishad. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati is in Mundaka and Katha Upanishad. What does it mean? Tasya bhasa, because of that consciousness alone, sarvam idam vibhati, everything else is revealed. And then he quotes Smriti, 15th chapter. Yada adityagatam tejaha jagad bhasayate khilam yachandramasi yachhagnau tat tejo vidhimamakam. Yada yat adityagatam tejaha, the light in the sun, Jagat bhasyate akhilam. Akhilam Jagat bhasyate, which reveals the entire universe. Yat chandramasi, that light in the moon. The first one is light in the sun. The second one is Yat chandramasi, light in the moon. Yat chagnau, that light in the fire. Tat tejaha, know that all these vidhi mamakam, they understand that it all belongs to me as the Atma Chaitanyam. There is no light without consciousness. And again, Gita is another, he quotes one more from Gita. Kshetram Kshetri Tatha Kritsnam Prakashayati Bharata. Just as the sun illuminates or reveals the whole universe, the Kshetri reveals the entire Kshetram. The Kshetri is the Jivatma at the point of time, can be taken as consciousness, illumines the entire Kshetra. A very beautiful way of describing. And Shankara, understands that even though we are attempting to describe, really speaking, because of the problem that I talked about, that any word might lead you to look for the padartha as an object. He says, Kim api asti. A very, very beautiful summation. Something is there. Okay, that something, Kim api asti, something is there, which is something which cannot be described. And therefore he says, Kim api asti. There is something. Atma is something and it is there, but it cannot really be described. But vidvat buddhigamyam. It can be understood by the intelligence of the sharpened intelligence of a student who is an adhikari, who is sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha. It can only be understood. It cannot really be described. And he gives it a couple of adjectives. Sarva Antara Tamam. So Sarvantaram means innermost for all. Antara Tamam. Tamam is the superlative degree. So Sarvantara Tamam is in the superlative, the most innermost essence of all beings. Kuthastham. Atma is changeless. It is the innermost essence of all beings. It is Ajam, birthless. Ajaram, not subject to old age. Amritam, not subject to death. Abhayam, not subject to fear. Always secure. And this Shrotraderaphi Shrotradi. This is the Atma, the ear of the ear. And he clarifies Tat Samarthyam, the capacity of that ear to hear. Tat means the physical ear. Tat Samarthyam. Samarthyam means the capacity. Tat Samarthyam, the capacity of the ear to hear. Nimittam Atma. In the sense that it is nimittam, it is dependent upon the presence of the Atma. Very clearly saying that the Atma is that which lends the capacity for any organ to do its function. Without the Atma, that organ cannot function. With this, Shankara concludes his commentary on Shrotrasya Shrotram. We have to do our homework and extend it word to word to Manasa Manaha, Vachaha Vachaha, Pranaha Pranahu, Chakshuhu Chakshuhu. So he doesn't comment on it, so I am also not commenting. It is the same argument which we have used. The argument is to be extended to the mind, to the speech, to Pranaha and to Chakshu. With that, the second mantra is over. Any question?
Om Acharya-ji, it's
Yes,
kind
please.
of difficult to reconcile with the fact that the effulgent consciousness, which is one without a second, is the one which is revealing the world which is actually a mithya. So the mithyatvam, I mean,
Then your understanding of mithya is not proper. Can you see the gold and the necklace?
if we see the I can see only one thing at one time. Only the gold then.
When you see the necklace, you don't see the gold? You
But
can
that is
use,
because
you are using the
the
necklace.
eyes that you see, that is also part of the mithya world only. So the eyes and the necklace, if we see from that standpoint, then they are both mithya. So from the
Would
gold
somebody like to
standpoint, then
explain what is the hole in that argument? Meda, want to try explaining?
I think it's because she's looking at Satyam and Mithya as two different things. And if you look at them as different, then you'll always think they're two things, but they're not two.
They are not two. In fact, that this particular point, that the mithya vastu is always dependent upon the satyam vastu, that is the very core of Advaita. And that has to be clearly understood, that mithya is not separate from satyam. You cannot look at mithya as separate from satyam. Mithya is a dependent entity. And the moment you separate them, or if you use the English word unreal and say mithya doesn't exist, then also there's a problem in understanding.
okay, I
Necklace
get it
is
now.
not different from the gold. At the same time, the reverse equation doesn't hold good. You cannot say gold is the necklace. Can you say that?
No,
Why?
no.
Why can't you say that? Every answer has to be logically supported if you want to understand. I am saying gold cannot be said to be the necklace.
Acharya?
Let Rinku have a shot. June,
The gold cannot be said to be the necklace because the existence of gold is independent in itself. So the necklace is a dependent. The the name form is dependent on the gold. The gold is the essence of the necklace.
any other way you can explain why this relationship, this dependency is only one way. You can say that the necklace is dependent upon the gold, but you cannot say gold is dependent upon the necklace. For what purpose? Because gold can exist not only as a necklace, it can exist as a ring, it can exist as a bangle, And therefore, only a one-way relationship is there. You can say, yes, the necklace is dependent upon the gold, but the gold is not the necklace at all. Gold can also be bangle. It can also be chain. It can also be anything else.
Right. Thank you, Acharya.
Yes, June.
Acharya. So yesterday in Vedanta class, we also studied that Atma is the one that reveals the Kalavyapti. And today,
Sorry. Can you come again?
yesterday in Vedanta Sara's Saram class,
Yeah.
we studied also that Atma is the revealer, and the Yapti Vritti is the one that brings the information that touch the object. So my question is, how does Atma reveals? Because I know this looks like language is not enough to explain this, but somehow it makes me confused because Atma cannot reveal somehow.
Let me ask you. You take from yesterday's class, and you tell me. Somebody is talking there. You tell me what is the difference between Vritti Vyapti and Phala Vyapti? How would you explain the difference? Once you explain that, then it will be easier.
Vritti Vyapti is when the mind, the Vritti thought is Jada, brings the information of the object to in the mind.
Yeah.
And that, but at the same time, Vyapti Vritti is pervading the Vritti, um, the, the first one I was talking about.
Okay, June, let me explain. There's some disturbance from your end, so you can become mute. I'll explain. Vritti Vyapti is when the thought, which is anatma, the thought pervades the object. But the thought is always accompanied, because the thought is a reflecting medium, it is always accompanied by the consciousness, the reflected consciousness. The wrapping of the object by the thought is called Vritti Vyapti. The simultaneous wrapping of the object by the consciousness, the reflected consciousness, is called Phala Vyapti. And that Phala Vyapti wrapping, which is reflected consciousness, remember, that is the revealing factor. That is what reveals. So when you say that, how does Atma reveal? That is the answer, that you cannot say OC reveals. It is the RC which reveals.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other question? All right. So we look at mantra number 3. We will chant. Na tatra chakshur gacchati. Na va gacchati no manaha. Na vidmo na vijanimo. Yathai anushishyat. I've just muted all of you all. Now, na tatra. Tatra means there. So you have to rearrange the sentence. Chakshuhu tatra na gacchati. The eyes cannot go there. And vag tatra na gacchati. The speech cannot go there. Manaha tatra na gacchati. The mind cannot go there. And na vidmo, it is not known. Na vijanimo, I do not know. This is the teacher talking. The Atma is not known, and therefore, so the first portion is relating to the Atma. Na vidmo, the Atma is not known. And na vijanimaha, I don't know. Yet, I don't know. Tad etad tad anushishyat. I don't know. Yatha etad anushishyat. I don't know how that Atma can be talked about by anyone. Okay, so he says that the eyes don't go there, the mind doesn't go there, the speech doesn't go there, and therefore the Atma can never be known, because what are the eyes, speech, mind? What do they refer to? They refer to the Jnanendriyas. So the Jnanendriyas don't go there, and therefore the Atma cannot be known, and therefore I do not know how anybody can talk about the Atma to anybody else. So Acharya is saying it's a very difficult task, because Vedanta is not an objective science. And na tatra chakshur gacchati. Chakshuhu, the eyes, represent all the jnanendriyas. Hence, by saying na tatra chakshur gacchati, the Acharya is saying that the jnanendriyas cannot grasp the Atma. Jnanendriya agocharam. If you remember Tattvabodha words, it is not capable of being grasped by the jnanendriyas. Navag gacchati. Now, vak is the mouth or the tongue. So that is the karmendriya. Words, the vak gacchati means words cannot describe that Atma. You cannot use words to describe the concept of Atma. And therefore, this vak represents all karmendriyas. So with this sentence, navak tatra gacchati, Acharya is saying that karmendriyas also, this Atma is not capable of being grasped by. So jnanendriya agocharam, karmendriya agocharam. And na manaha, the mind also cannot grasp. So jnanendriyas cannot grasp, the mind cannot grasp, the karmendriyas also cannot grasp. And therefore, na vidmaha, the Atma is not known, and therefore only yatha anushishyat na vijanima. How vijanima? How do I know? How I don't know how to communicate, because nobody can know that Atma. How can anybody communicate that Atma? So this is the Acharya explaining how difficult it is to describe the Atma using words. And Shankara gives an example to illustrate this. He says, Yatha Agnihi Dahakaha. This Agni has two powers. What is that? Burning power and lighting up power. So Dahakaha and Prakashakaha. Agni has two powers, but Agni cannot use those powers. Nahi Atmanam Prakashayati Dahati. Nahi Agni Prakashayati Dahati. The Agni cannot either burn itself or reveal itself. It has two powers, but Agni cannot do either of them in respect to itself. Okay, so we cannot say that fire is illumining itself, revealing itself. Well, because revealing is a verb, and it is therefore an action. And when the fire lights up, it's not doing any action. It is just its own nature. And so fire is revealing itself, cannot be used. And similarly, you cannot say that fire is heating itself, because heat and light are the very nature of fire. When you're talking about these two words in relationship to fire, you can really not say that fire is heating itself or fire is lighting itself. If you are going to say something, you can only say that some object in front of the fire is getting hot because it is the nature of the fire to heat. You cannot really use the verb fire is heating the water, which is very commonly used. But Shastra is saying that it's wrong to use that, because there is no karma being done by fire. Fire being hot is its own nature. That argument is understood? A very important argument which we have talked about before also. You cannot use the word fire to indicate that fire is doing something. Does the silence mean that you have understood or not understood? It can mean either of these things.
We understood.
All right. Okay. So he says Tadvat. In the same way, you say the argument has to be extended to Atma or Brahman also. Atma doesn't do any revealing at all. But in the presence of the Atma, everything is revealed. So Shankara also talks about the mind. He says the mind has two functions. One is visualizing. That is one function of the mind. And the other is analyzing or determination. That is also a function of the mind. And whenever the mind is functioning, either visualizing or in analyzing, he says that there has to be some other object which is being visualized or analyzed. So anyasya, an object other than itself is being visualized or analyzed, because anywhere where there is a verb, there is a subject and there is an object. And if the mind is visualizing, the mind is subject, the visualizing is the verb, and something else, the other object, the anatma, is the subject. And Satu, that being so, he says the mind cannot visualize or analyze the Atma. Why? This argument is being drawn from the earlier verse. It is not possible for the mind either to visualize or ascertain the Atma. Why? June, yesterday's class had this very clearly.
Because it's because of the very presence of Atma that the mind can be revealed. So it's like the sun overpowers the reflective medium. So the candle cannot light the sun.
The moonlight cannot reveal the sun, because the moonlight is basically sunlight only. And similarly, he's saying this Atma cannot analyze or reveal or visualize, the mind cannot analyze or visualize the Atma, because Atma is the essence of the mind. That is what he has said, Manaso Manaha. The very power which makes the mind function, that is Atma only. And therefore, how can that Atma, how can that mind powered by Atma, how can it visualize that which is the essential essence of the mind? What enables it to function? And therefore he says, na vidmaha, na vijanimaha, ethaitad anushishyat. Now, the verse doesn't explain this anymore, but Shankara is worried. He thinks, the student should not think that the Acharya is unable to explain because he has not understood. So Shankara explains in detail. He says, yadhi karana gocharaha, whatever object can be revealed by any karanam, any instrument. So any instrument is, revealing instruments are two which we have. What are they? Jivatma has two instruments which are capable of revelations. Anybody? What are they? Why is it difficult? What do you...
Jnanendriya and Mana.
Jnanendriyas and Mana. Very good. So what? The Jnanendriyas reveal something, the mind also reveals something. So Shankara explains that whenever an object can be revealed either by the Jnanendriyas or by the mind, then and only then, if it fulfills one of these two conditions, that the Jnanendriya reveals the object or the mind reveals the object, then and only then, he says, Upadeshtum Shakyam. You can teach it to others. You can teach a subject to others, providing your Jnanendriyas are able to reveal that particular object, or your mind is able to reveal that object. If that object cannot be revealed by either the Jnanendriyas or the mind, you anyway don't know about it. So how can you teach others? So what is the basis for this statement? So Shankara talks about something, I think we have talked about this before. It is called Shabda Pravritti Nimittani. So Nimittani means conditions. Shabda Pravritti means usage of words. So conditions for usage of words to communicate. This is called Shabda Pravritti Nimittani. Yeah, I think we have discussed. I'm not very sure. Does anybody remember? We may have discussed in passing, but we have discussed. So anyway, let me just revise that for us. So any object can be described. Can be described means you are using words, right? So the conditions for usage of words to describe any object has to have one or more of the following 5 characteristics. So these are the conditions which are required for a word to describe something. Okay. Now the object has to fit into a generic description, jati. Right? For example, human. There's a human jati. There is an animal jati. It's generic. It is a species. So you have to fit into a particular species, and then words can be used to describe you. You can say car, or you can say airplanes. All these belong to one particular species. Human beings, animals, snakes, different species. So if they are different species, then you can describe. There's one, that's the jati is there, the first description, first condition. Or it can belong, that condition can be guna. Guna is attribute. For example, you can describe by saying that person who has jet black hair. Okay, so what are you describing? You are describing the type of hair to indicate where the person is or what person it is that you're looking for. So jati and guna. Then you can use the description of the work that he does, employment that he has, kriya, function. So you can say this man is a cook, or that man is a driver, or that person is a yoga teacher. Again, you are using words to describe an object depending upon the function here. Or it can be sambandha, relationships. You can say this is my father, this is my friend, this is my sister, this is my child. All these use the word sambandha. And there's a 5th category which does not fall into any of the above 4. It is called rudihi, also called dravyam, which means basically some object. For example, if I use the word, this is the moon. Okay, the moon doesn't fall into jati, guna, kriya, and sambandha. So this is a description using something else, the attribute. So this is rudihi, dravyam, right? It is based on what? Because moon cannot be described using jati. Moon cannot be described using guna, because there is only one moon. Moon cannot be described using kriya, because you are not, this particular usage when you say this is the moon, that is not on the kriya. Or you can, it's not a sambandha also, there is no relationship that you have. So when you say this is the moon, it is based on what? It is based on pratyaksha pramanam, that you have seen the moon. And when you talk to somebody, you are presuming that he has also seen the moon. And therefore, when you say moon, it will mean something to him. For a person who has no idea what the moon is, the word moon will not communicate anything. This is called Shabda Pravritti Nimittani, usage of the words. And Shankara says that Brahman, it is not possible to describe using any of these 5 ways, 5 conditions, because Brahman doesn't fit into any of these 5 conditions. It is therefore not possible to use words to teach Brahman in the conventional way. And therefore, there is only one way, and that is what? That is Shastram. Okay. Any questions so far?
Acharya, I have a question
Yes, please.
about the Shabda Pravritti Nimittani. Is that what it is?
Yes.
So that is essentially usage of words.
Yes.
This is how it can be used. And when we're talking about the first 4, jati, guna, kriya, sambandha, that is about a living being. And dravya is about non-living
No,
being.
you can also say this instrument, this particular vehicle which takes you from one place to one place is a car.
So I've not understood the last one then, in which case, rudahi or dravyam.
Dravyam.
What
It is
is-
based on pratyaksham, where you are not using the words based on jati, guna, kriya, rudihi or sambandha, but you're using it in the terms of having seen it. See, for example, I mean, these are not exclusive. Okay, now you can say this is a dog. based on the categorization that this species belong to the species of dogs. Okay,
That is jati.
that is jati.
Right.
Or you can simply say this is a dog.
That's
Based
all.
on you
that's-
watching the dog. You have seen the dog, this fellow has also seen a dog, and therefore you are not classifying it as jati or kriya or anything. You are saying this is what I have seen, this is what you have seen, and our perceptions coincide. So when I say dog, you should know what dog means. It is, that's why I said moon. Moon is easier because moon doesn't fall under those classifications.
So can we just say like a generic object that is being objectified
But-
at that particular
Yeah,
point?
just perceived. Perception is the main thing. You should have
Okay.
seen.
Okay. All right.
Or
Thank
it
you.
could taste also, right? You can say this is salty. Okay, you can also
How is that different from guna?
you can also argue that salty is an attribute.
Yeah, that's
It
guna.
depends on which way you are using it.
Okay.
If you are saying this salty thing, then you are saying this is salty. Depends on how you use it. There are no very clear demarcations over here. Okay, that's why use an object which cannot be defined by the other four to try to convey the
When
idea.
it doesn't fit into the basically fail safe is when it doesn't fit into the others, just think
Correct.
of it.
When
as
you don't
jati.
fit into the other four, then you use the rodihi or
And when it
dravyam.
doesn't fit, and when it doesn't fit into all five, then we're not talking about
Only
anything at all.
only one thing doesn't fit into all five, and that is
Right.
Brahman.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any question? Or we go to the next mantra. All right. So let us look at the next mantra. Mantra number 4. Anyadeva tad viditat. Atho aviditadadhi.
Atho aveditadadhi.
Iti shushruma purvesham.
Iti shushruma purvesham.
Yenastadvyacha chakshire.
Yena sadvyacha chakshire.
Okay. So, anyat eva tad. So, you rearrange tad, anyat eva. Fairly clear. Tad, that, anyat eva is indeed different. So, this tad refers to Atma. So, he is saying Atma is indeed different from what? Viditat. From that which is known. And then you have to again bring in the whole sentence. Anyat eva tad, that is indeed different, aviditad, from that which is unknown, which is not known. Viditat is known, aviditat unknown, and the adhi is an adjective which you have to pluck out from there, and you have to add to both viditad and aviditad. Adhi means very. So that is indeed very different from that which is known, and that is also very different from that which is not known. Iti purvesham shushrumaha. This we have heard purvesham from our ancestors, from the wise people. And what do they do? Again, you have to break this nastad. Okay, nastad is na plus visarga and tad. So ye, naha, tad, vyacha chakshire. So ye, those people, ye is the pronoun referring to purvesham, my ancestors. Those ancestors, vyacha chakshire, told us tad. This particular thing they have told us. What is this particular thing? That is different from the known, and that is also different from the unknown. I hope the line meanings are clear. Should not get confused. Okay. Right. So again, a very key sloka. So tad viditad anyat eva. Atma is something other than anything known. Because everything in the entire creation comes under viditam, known. And the Acharya is saying that Atma is something other than the known. And then he says, Atho aviditad also. Other than the unknown, aviditad, unknown. Now the meaning of unknown has to be carefully understood. Here, unknown means that which I don't know, but that which is capable of being known, should I put in an effort? Right? So you can say that you have not seen some part of the world that is unknown to me, but you can know it providing the necessary effort is put in. And therefore, when you put these two words together, viditad and aviditad, it means whatever is known in this world and whatever is capable of being known, Atma is different from that, which is the whole world. Okay, like when I say these are the books I have read, so books which I know, and there are books which I don't know, but those books which I don't know, I can know, providing I read them. It's in that sense. So avidita doesn't mean, it means that which is knowable. And therefore, when he says Atma is different from that which is known and that which is knowable, he means that it is neither known nor knowable. Why is that so? Why is the Atma neither known nor knowable? You have to extract the right meaning from that.
Because I just want to have a shot at it. Because it is the very reason why things are known and the very reason why things will be unknown. So it cannot be known in itself.
Okay, but I want a slightly more refined form of that answer. Anybody?
Acharya, the answer is actually given in the first part of the mantra. Also, na tatra chakshuhu gacchati, na vag gacchati, na manaha.
Yeah, but what is the reason?
It's not an object to be known. It is that in the presence of which things can be known. It is aprameyam.
Yes.
It is the knower.
It is the knower. That is the right answer. Okay, so and you should know that the knower can never be known, and
Acharya,
therefore
isn't that a little bit of a trap of an answer also, because it's not, it's
the meaning you should understand whenever you say that Atma cannot be known, is this straight thing should come into head. Obviously, it cannot be known because how can I know myself as an object? I am the subject. I cannot know myself as an object. And therefore, that is a straight meaning which should come from any. That's one of the basic principles. Whenever you say Atma, you should know it is me. In fact, the very word Atma in Sanskrit, it's not an object. Atma means man, me. So we often, in fact, the common usage, we talk of Atma as an object, but actually Atma means you, your own self, my own self. That is what is being said. So the knower is never an object, is always a subject. Hence the Atma is the knower principle. The very attempt to know the Atma is the basic mistake we make because it is not an object. And because he is saying this, the teacher is pointing out that Atma is Tat Tvam Asi. Atma is you yourself. And he says, Iti Shushruma Purvesham. I have got this method of communication from my Purvesham, from my ancestors, my teachers, my earlier teachers. And what do they tell us? Ye tad naha vyacha chakshire. They have successfully communicated this knowledge to me through this Guru Shishya Parampara, which I call Sampradaya. And therefore, I am trying to communicate to you. Remember that in the vision of the scriptures, the one who has not had a teacher, he can never be a Vedantic teacher. The one who has had a Vedantic teacher, only he can be a teacher because the parampara, the sampradaya has been successfully communicated. The method of teaching. And Shankara adds to make it very clear, Acharya Upadesha Paramparaya Praptam Aha. This teaching can come only through Guru Shishya Parampara, and the Parampara will ensure that no particular Acharya is greater than the tradition. Acharya will never be greater than the parampara. It is always the parampara which takes the maximum namaskaras. And this, of course, is the difference between a cult and a sampradaya or a parampara. So with this, we'll stop. Any questions? Requires a lot of mananam to extract the meaning that whatever is being said, it is basically saying that you are the Atma, stop looking around for anything else. Okay. So with this, we'll stop. And thank you for your patience. We will meet next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om.
Thank you, Acharya.